Well, welcome to the first one of these rants I'm about to go on. And hopefully it makes sense. I really do hope it makes sense. Tonight I will be diving into Welcome to Derry, because I think it is Harleby. I can't speak. It's fucking trash. How about that? The way it's written, I think, is garbage. I'm not just gonna say things like, "Oh, it's garbage, it's trash, it's ass." I will show. Well, no, I won't show. I've been hit a couple times for trying to use their clips, so I will tell you how the scene happened, what the people said, and so on, and how I think it can be written a lot better. There are things in the show I do like. So I mean that's good. So make sure my volume is good over here. Okay, that sounds good there. Let's see, pull up here and here. Perfect. And then one last place to make sure that I'm live and everything's good before I start going on my rant is over here. All right, we're good to go. All right. So we will start off with episode 1. Yeah, I did make this by myself. You like? I think it looks pretty awesome. Episode 1. Let's get my notes. All right. So in episode 1, we learn how Lily's dad dies, which is fucking tragic for the man, to be honest with you. Lily's dad works at a pickle jar plant. She says that one day her and her mom go to pick her dad up, and she had bought a new mood ring from the Five and Dime. She forgot it in the plant, so her dad went back in for it. When her dad went back in for the mood ring, he noticed the machine was jammed. The machine that was not in his station, by the way, it was jammed. Lily says her dad has a can-do kind of attitude, will help out anyone, anywhere. So he jumped right into the fray and decided to help unjam this machine that was not in his station. The machine crushes him. Because, of course, it fucking does. Right? And now he's fucking dead. And they obviously do this so Lily has trauma and guilt when it comes to her dad, which is something, Pennywise can play on later. I can argue that the whole mood ring thing, I think the writers just overcomplicated it, to be honest with you. You can take away the whole mood ring. You can take away Lily and her mom picking him up after work one day. You can remove all that. Lily's dad, he's a hard worker. He works all the hours he can. He works overtime all the time. And he does this because he wants to give his daughter a life he's never had. So when he dies at work, the same way, Lily still has the guilt built in because she knows that he was only there working these long hours, all this overtime, because he wanted to give her the life he never had. The guilt is built in. You don't have to add a stupid fucking mood ring to give her any more guilt. Later on in the episode, you see Lily's mom, and Lily's mom definitely blames Lily for her husband's death, for sure. It's never said, but it's the way it's written and the way she treats her, you can tell. But again, if you remove the mood ring and you remove Lily and her mom picking him up, you still have this because she would know, her mom would know that the only reason why her husband was at work all the time was for her daughter, to give her the life he never had. It's everything's right there. It's so easy. It's so built in. You don't need to add anything else. And the fact that he dies going back in for a mood ring is, to me, is fucking stupid. He goes back into the plant for a mood ring, sees a machine that's not in his station jammed, and he jumps in to help, and he fucking dies. Like, that's how he dies, going back in for a mood ring. I mean, why did you not only did you overcomplicate it, you made it worse. You made it worse. I think the way I presented it, everything that you want to happen with her guilt, the mom's resentment, is still there. You don't have to add anything extra. God, man. And this happens repeatedly. Again, and again, and again, and again throughout the series so far. So, with that point on, we will move on to the next point here of still episode 1. Because I just can't fucking... Episode 1 wasn't the worst one. I think episode 4 is actually the worst episode so far, but still. All right. So later on in the episode, we see Lily, Phil, and the other kid. They're at the library. They're looking into Maddie's disappearance. Because at this point, everyone still believes he's missing, not dead, no body. Okay? The newspaper article they read says, originally thought as a runaway, but since Maddie hasn't turned up anywhere else, the police now suspect homicide. That's a leap and a half to go from he's a runaway to a homicide. For it to be a homicide, you would need a reason to think foul play was at all involved. You have no body, and yet you immediately jump to homicide. What does that mean in the show? Fucking nothing. That's the other problem I have with the show. A lot of these things that come up mean fucking nothing, and they do fucking nothing. I mean, like, wouldn't the cops like check in with friends and families and check in on like different routines he might have had, file a missing persons report? I mean, you can only consider homicide with the clues of foul play. The article then goes on to state that the police thought initially it was his father who killed him, and then possibly a drifter who killed him. But since they don't have a body, that's like, they can't blame it on nobody. I just like how, like, these little details that mean they mean nothing. It's just empty calories. What this newspaper is a MacGuffin to get the kids to look at the Capitol Theater where Maddie was last seen. Because in the article, it says that Maddie was last seen on the night of like January 4th or whatever at the Capitol Theater. It says in the article that one of the police officers talks to one of the theater's workers, 12-year-old daughter, who they don't name. They do not name in the article. Phil even asks, and who is that? Meaning the 12-year-old girl of the theater worker. So Phil doesn't know who that is off the bat. And the article doesn't put it in there that we are shown or told. After Phil asks, who is that? The next scene is immediately jumps to the kids outside of Ronnie's house. I'm one of those guys that I need you to show me. Or even if you want to have like a throwaway sentence here or there, but you got to show me or have some kind of explanation of how. Now I know Ronnie goes to the same school as these kids, but if Phil were to say, who is that to the 12-year-old daughter that was interviewed, well, that lets me know Phil doesn't know who it is. And none of the other kids pipe up and say, well, I know who it is. So to me, the way the show is presenting it is they don't know who it is right off the bat. And then from that point, when Phil says who is that, it goes right to Ronnie's house. All you needed to do was have the kids go to the theater, ask around a bit, and have like a lower level employee just give the name. Oh yeah, that's Ronnie. And then Lily can say, oh, well, she goes to our school. I know who that is. And that's all you need. It'd be like 15, 20 seconds. But they show up to Ronnie's house unannounced right after he asked who that girl was. And she starts off her dialogue by saying, Maddie Clements, yeah, get away from me. Get the fuck away from my house. The cops already tried to pin that shit on my dad. They've been up here. The cops have been all over my fucking house for because of that boy. Get the fuck away, basically. I'm done dealing with this shit. So after Ronnie dismisses it, Phil says out loud, thank God he says it out loud, I told you this was not going to work. You're chasing songs in sewers. Ronnie hears this and it immediately strikes a nerve. She turns around and immediately goes back to the kids and says, what did you say? Songs and sewers. And Lily asks, have you heard it? And thankfully it, Pennywise was fucking with Ronnie in the basement of the Capitol Theater, which we never saw. So thank God that Pennywise did that off screen before this happened. Otherwise, that line that Phil threw out would have meant nothing to Ronnie. But thankfully, Pennywise is plot convenient. This next part that happens is the writers from the writer's room telling us, the people who like to dive into these things, the people who like logic in writing, to go fuck ourselves. Because this is what happens. Ronnie asks what the song was that Lily heard. We don't see Lily telling her this. We cut away to a different scene. We cut back to the kids on their bikes racing to the theater, right? Phil asks, where the hell are we going? And Ronnie answers, do you want me to tell you or do you want me to show you? And Phil answers, tell 100%. This is the fuck you from the writer's room. Because people like me who like logic and like to be shown things in film and TV shows, the writers are telling us, no, you don't like that. You want to be told everything, spoon-fed everything. Everyone wants to be spoon-fed everything. No, we don't. I do not. Do not spoon-feed me everything. You can show me things. You can infer to things. Not everything has to have a fucking explanation that's 15,000 sentences deep, of one character just spouting it out. You can just show me something with no dialogue and I could pick it up. But the writers, They say, go fuck yourself. You want to be told. Now, after Phil says, tell me 100% of the time, right? Ronnie does tell him, okay, well, that song is from this movie. And then Phil asks the correct question. Oh, all right. Well, if we know the movie, why the fuck are we going to watch it? Phil says, I hate musicals. And Phil's right. Since you told me what the answer is, there's no need for us to go watch it. Oh, but wait, there is a need for you to go watch this movie at this point of the episode. Because once again, it is Pennywise being plot convenient. Because if when Phil said, well, if we know the movie, why are we watching it? And the other kid said, yeah, you're right. Let's get the fuck out of here. Well, then the end of the episode can't happen. So the writers wrote it in to the show that Ronnie would tell us and the kids the answer to the question of what song it was and where it comes from. But also then wrote that they go into the movie theater to watch it anyway, so then we can see Maddie in the movie. And Maddie being in the movie takes me to another point of this episode. Another point in this episode is this. I know these are 12 to 14-year-old kids. I do. I know that. But when Lily starts to hear Maddie's voice coming from her bathtub fucking pipes, and she not only believes it's actually Maddie climbing through the fucking pipes, but she tells him just to please come home. Maddie, if you can hear me, just come home. This bitch is actually talking to her dead friend, presumed missing, through her bathtub pipes and thinks it's actually him. And they did this, right? They knew it was fucking stupid that she would believe that it was actually Maddie climbing through the pipes. But they wrote in Phil to tell you they knew it was lazy writing. Because Phil then says, when Lily tells Phil and the other kid about what she saw, Phil says, wait, first off, it's impossible. Maddie would have to know where every pipe started and ended in Derry. He would have to know what time Lily was going to take a bath, and he would have to know exactly what pipe was hers to stick his little finger up through the bathtub. So the writers are telling you they know that this shit is ass. This shit's fucking stupid. But they don't care. Right? They're just going to write whatever the fuck they want, whether it makes sense or not, and get the fuck out of there and collect their paycheck. They don't care if it makes sense. They don't care if it's logical. You know, even though it is a horror show, I get that, but just because it's a horror show doesn't mean it has to be fucking retarded. That's my biggest criticism. So back to the movie theater. Okay. So they're sitting down. Ronnie puts on the movie. When Lily starts to hear the song, she says, yeah, that's the song. Yeah, we know that already, you dumb bitch. Ronnie just told us before we even started this. And then they see Maddie up on the screen. And Phil asks the right question, well, how the hell is he in the movie? And then the writers decide to do the thing they did with the bathtub. They decide to have not just one 12 to 14-year-old, but 3 12 to 14-year-olds start screaming at the movie screen to their friend Maddie, hey, Maddie, hey. Come towards our voices. And at one point, Lily says, "We're gonna get you out." Get you out of what? What the fuck are you talking about? Get you out of what? The movie screen? Do they think he's living in the movie screen? Well, that wouldn't make any sense because it would be the movie is a projection. So if she's saying, "Hey, Maddie, we're going to get you out of the movie," they're saying, "Hey, Maddie, we're going to get you out of the fucking film reel." So this bitch, these kids have been written to believe that their dead friend has been living inside of the movie reel. Not just the movie screen, the movie reel, because again, the screen is just showing the projection of the film. So when Lily screams to Maddie at the end of the first episode, "Hey, we're going to get you out," she's inferring that they're going to get him out of the fucking movie reel. Not the screen, because again, the screen is just showing the projection. Which obviously they don't get him out because he's fucking dead. He's not alive. And thus, Maddie throws the naked demon baby winged fucking thing at them, right? That thing goes fucking berserk in that movie theater and kills everyone but 2 people. Now, I've heard arguments for this both ways, but I think I'm still correct on this. Why the fuck did it leave just 2 people alive? Now, people will say, well, it's because Pennywise has a plan for Lily and Ronnie that's coming up in episode 2, which I think is still dog shit writing. I don't think you need to have everyone live, like, everyone die but the 2. I think you can have everyone die but Ronnie, because then it's even more evidence pointing to her dad as being the person. But Pennywise decides to kill everybody but the 2 main girls that's going to pretty much survive the entire season. Again, Pennywise, for the 3rd time this episode, is being plot convenient, which is fucking retarded. Episode 1, we realize that the writers can't write. All of this shit is dog shit. They know it's dog shit. They're telling you while you're watching episode 1 it's dog shit, and that they're aware it's dog shit. And they just hope that you keep on watching. That's what they're hoping for. And I don't know. I can't keep watching. I mean, I'm going to keep watching because I love making fun of it. But hello. Sorry, I didn't see your comment. All right. Well, let's move on to episode 2. Hell yeah, Pickle Dad. Pickle Dad. Episode 2 has one of I think out of the 4 episodes so far, it might be the worst scene, like written wise. All right. No, most of episode 2 is actually, for me at least, it's fine. Right? Like, I think the bulk of episode 2 is fine. Like, when they do the it thing, when they do the Pennywise thing, when Ronnie is being birthed out of her mom in her room and her dead mom is telling her that you fucking killed me, you tore me apart, like, all that shit that's great. Right? Even when they did that shit in the first episode, it was great. It's when they get to the character parts is where they fucking fumble. So let's just jump right to the fucking scene I hate in episode 2. The lunchroom scene. Ronnie sits down with Lily and tells Lily, hey, it happened last night. Basically, it came and fucked with me last night. Lily asks, what happened? And Ronnie says, well, it told me that my dad would be arrested and then he would be killed via the electric chair, or as she put it, he will fry. Lily says, hey, it's all good. Because when I was talking to the cops and they asked me what happened, I told them, your dad wasn't there. Hey, that's awesome. Thanks, Lil, right? Ronnie gets upset at this and says, you told the cops what you told me, right? And Lily says, well, I'm not sure what happened exactly, but. And then Ronnie cuts her off and says, because you told me a monster came out of the screen. Yeah, and why does that matter? Ronnie came into this conversation worried about her dad. Okay, she's worried that her dad is going to get arrested and killed. He's going to fry. So if that's her issue coming into this conversation, and the first thing that Lily says to her is, hey, I told the cops your dad wasn't even there, I would imagine that her first reaction would be, oh, okay, thank you for doing that. Because, it's fucking true. He wasn't there. But that's not how the writers go. But of course not. So after Ronnie says, but you told me a monster came out of the screen, Lily says, hey, it was dark. I don't know exactly what happened, I'm also fucking crazy. She didn't say that, but but what's important is I told the cops your dad was not there. That's what's important. And she's right. That is what's important, especially because of what Ronnie said entering the conversation. But Ronnie doesn't care about this. Right? So after Lily says that's all that matters, Ronnie says, saying I don't know sounds a lot like I'm too scared to tell. Why is she mad here? Why is Ronnie mad? Ronnie this is such dog shit. Again, I'm just gonna say this again. When this conversation started, Ronnie, her main concern, her main threat was that her father was going to be wrongfully accused, taken away, arrested, and Fry being killed in prison. And Lily just keeps telling her, hey, I told the cops your dad wasn't there. I told the cops your dad wasn't involved. And Ronnie is hung up on the fact that Lily didn't tell the cops that she saw a monster. Why the fuck would she tell them this? Lily knows that the town sees her as crazy. I mean, in the very first episode, when she looks at Phil and the other friend says, hey, was Loony Lily just checking us out? So, like, fucking people call her Loony Lily. Why the fuck would this bitch tell the cops she saw a demon, a naked baby winged demon? She immediately goes to the loony bin. Immediately goes. And the cops still arrest Ronnie's dad. Because who else are they going to blame? Why did they write Ronnie this way? I don't understand. Well, I mean, I do understand because, I'm not stupid. They want to create false drama, I'm going to call it. Right? So, because later in the episode, Lily will be re-interviewed by the police, and she's going to give a false statement because she's being threatened with being sent off to the loony bin. Okay, the writers think that's the only way we can get Ronnie's dad in jail, which is not true at all. And I can prove it to you it's not true. It's not true because the writers of the show, because it's 1962, have written in a lot of racial tensions in the show. They can just arrest her dad because of racial tensions. Like, they don't need right. If you're going to write these people, most of these people in this town as racist towards blacks, why would you need any other reason for them to arrest the black guy? This is the shit I don't get. You created this false drama between Lily and Ronnie so that later on Ronnie can be forced to give a false statement because she's being threatened to be sent off to the loony bin. But you don't need it to happen. Again, it's just like the first episode when they added the mood ring to Lily's dad's death. It's not needed. There's already built-in things in the world. The reason why Lily didn't tell the cops about the monsters is because she's perceived as fucking crazy and will be sent away. The reason why they arrest Ronnie's dad is because they already tried to blame him for Maddie's disappearance, and now more kids have gone to the movie theater and died. And he's black in 1962 in Maine. They'll just arrest him because of that. You don't need to add this false drama in between where Lily, goes and gives a false statement. You don't need that. Everything, the way the episode works out, still works out if you take out the false statement. Let's just say she didn't give a false statement, right? You have that bar scene where the councilman goes up to Sheriff, Chief Bowers, whatever, and says, "Hey, did you arrest that black guy yet?" is what he says. And he goes, "No, there's no evidence," and he has an alibi. And the councilman basically threatens, "Well, if you don't arrest him, if you don't arrest the black guy, next election we'll elect someone who will." So, Chief Bowers is like, "Fuck, all right, I gotta find something." But you don't, because racial tensions have been written into the show since its conception. You can just have him ambush Ronnie's dad outside his house or his work, arrest his ass, and throw him in jail and pin the murders on him, period. And then later in the episode, while Lily's at the store, Pennywise can still fuck with her with Pickle Dad here, and she still gets sent away. Why did the writers feel the need to give this false drama of Lily versus Ronnie when it's not needed? And it makes no fucking sense. My guess would be is because they didn't have much. This show is only 8 episodes. We're 4 episodes. We're halfway through the season. They probably didn't have a lot of character development. They didn't have a lot of character arcs. They don't have a lot of things to like. That's not what it seems like. I mean, besides the racial stuff, there's not a lot of things that these writers are diving deep into. So they are creating these false dramas to extend episodes and push storylines down the road a little bit, but everything gets resolved in the same episode. So what's the fucking point? Take the easy way out. It's right in front of you. Don't make Lily's dad go back for her fucking mood ring in episode 1 and die that way. Just have him be a workaholic to give her his daughter the life he never had. He dies, because he's really tired working all these overtime hours. He dies in the same way. Lily still has guilt because she knows he worked those hours for her. Lily's mom could still resent her because she knows her husband was working those hours for their daughter. And then episode 2, you don't need to have Ronnie be mad at Lily that she didn't tell the fucking police that she saw a monster come out of a movie screen. Because if you take that away, the episode still plays out. Writing cannot be this hard. It just can't. I refuse to believe it's that hard. That's all I'm fucking saying. I refuse to believe it's that hard. It's this hard. It's just so horrendous, man. It's so fucking horrendous the way they wrote that. And I don't fucking understand. Uh, at the end of this scene, Ronnie screams at Lily saying that we both know it's some bullshit because Lily said, I'm sure it'll be fine. And then she gets detention, right? So while in detention, she meets Will for the first time, and Ronnie sees Lily leaving with Chief Bowers, and she's all mad. Again, it's nonsense because it's not needed. It's fucking stupid. The bulk of episode 2 is this little storyline between Ronnie and Lily that's not needed. It's unnecessary. It clunks it up. It makes no fucking sense, and the episode would end in the same manner if you take it out. What you're telling me as a writer is you don't have a lot to fucking write about, so you got to fill in a bunch of fluff because somehow you couldn't write out full length 8 episodes. I'm not asking for 22. You got 8, and you're giving me filler fluff nonsense. Now, maybe I would give the writers credit, right? If Lily was forced to give a false statement about Ronnie's dad, and there was some kind of fucking consequence for it, I'd be like, oh, hey, that's a direction. But there's no consequence to it. Because it's immediate. Like the very next time Ronnie sees Lily, she says one thing and they're cool again. Matter of fact, let's just move on to episode 3 then. So I can talk about that. Yeah, well, One-Eye Man. So episode 2 ends with Lily's mom dropping off Lily at the loony bin, right? Because of what happened with Pickle Dad. Right after the intro for episode 3, we see fucking Lily's mom picking her ass back up from the loony bin. How long has it been? How long has Lily been in this fucking place? An hour? 2 hours? A day, maybe? Maybe a day. It has not been anything longer than a weekend. I'll tell you that. It's impossible. The show doesn't tell us. We don't know how long she's in the fucking loony bin. We just see her ass getting dropped off to the loony bin at the end of episode 2. And right after the intro music of episode 3, we see her ass getting picked up from the loony bin. How long was she in there? And if she was only in there for, say, a day at most, what was the fucking point of sending her there, writers in the writing room? You don't have a good explanation of that because the reason why she's there is fucking stupid. And you got her there through nonsense fucking drama between her and Ronnie that doesn't need to happen. I think it actually could have been a fucking cool thing to see a couple episodes of Lily locked away in this fucking nut house, and Pennywise is fucking with her mind, and she's trying to tell the nurses, but they just think she's fucking crazy. And like Pennywise could just have a fucking field day with this bitch. He don't have to fucking kill her. He could just fuck with her. I think that would have been cooler to see over what we got. We got her in the fucking loony bin for a day, maybe an hour. I don't fucking know. Maybe her mom took a lunch because she was not in that fucking thing for long. Lily has this fucking conversation with this woman who works at the crazy house, right? Lily gets up off the floor. Well, she's helping her make the bed, but she gets up off the floor and sits on the bed. And Lily says to this woman, she says, "It's my fault Ronnie's dad is in jail." No, it's the writer's fault. Because they put his ass in jail for a dumb fucking reason, but whatever. Lily then says, Ronnie and I barely know each other. Barely know each other. Right? When the other woman then comes back with, life is about the people you go, is about the journey you go with people with. And if Ronnie means this much to you as it sounds, a human being wrote that. A human being wrote, Lily saying that Ronnie and I barely know each other. And then they also wrote this bitch to come back and say, if Ronnie means this much to you. What the fuck are you talking about? How can someone mean that much to you if you barely fucking know them? This is not rocket science. Writing cannot be this fucking hard. I don't understand why how someone can make that mistake and how people could oversee it and give it the thumbs up. Like, yeah, that's good. All right, let's make it. It fucking blows my mind that a human being wrote that scene and thought, this is some good shit. This is some good shit right here. Like, that's fucking crazy to me. All right. Next scene in episode 3 that I want to talk about is Ronnie walking through the hallway going to her locker, and somebody has written in lipstick on her locker, Hatchet Hank's gonna fry. You know, she looks to her left and right down the hallway. We can see everyone who's in the hallway. And of course, you see the fucking stupid cunts, you know, and they obviously did it. Ronnie decides that she's going to wipe off this lipstick with her one hand. When her one hand just starts to smear the lipstick around, Ronnie looks at her one hand as if to say, why isn't this working? And then, after she looks at her one hand and asks, why isn't my one hand removing the fucking lipstick from my locker? Ronnie then decides to take both her hands to rub the lipstick off, which just smears it around more. So now Ronnie's locker just has a big smeared lipstick mark. All right. Ronnie then goes into the bathroom to wash up. When out of nowhere, Lily appears and says, hey, I went to the nurse's office to pick this up. This should help cleaning off the lipstick. Let's take a couple steps back here. When Ronnie was in the hallway and she looked to her left and right, I said, you can see everybody who's in the hallway. Lily was not there. So, how did Lily know? Well, first off, how did Lily see what happened? How did Lily know to go to the nurse's office to get the supplies needed to clean up lipstick? How long did it take Lily to get the nurse to agree to give her this? Right, and she did all of that while making it to the bathroom almost the same exact time as Ronnie. Like, Ronnie walks into the bathroom, starts washing her hands, and Lily appears. Like, Ronnie's in the bathroom for like 3 seconds. So Lily would have had to seen the lipstick before to go get the fucking thing, to then wait for Ronnie to enter the bathroom to then go in with the solution. Hey, I got this from the nurse. Or it's another fucking observation of horrendous writing. Horrendous writing. And that's what it is. It's horrendous writing. So if we take a step back again to episode 2, when the writers forced Lily to give a false statement on Ronnie's dad, which wasn't needed to send him to jail, you would think that Ronnie, when she sees Lily, it's on site. Lily walks into the bathroom and says, hey, I got this from the nurse. It should help clean that off, the lipstick. Ronnie says, I should whoop your ass. And that's the last time she talks about whooping her ass about what she did to her dad. That's it. There's no consequences for what Lily did. And what she did was give the false statement because she was being threatened with being sent away. But there's no consequences to it. So now Lily just did that and got away with it scot-free. Nothing bad happened. Because after Ronnie says, I should whoop your ass, Lily starts to talk about, hey, I have a way to prove your dad's innocence. We're going to catch a photo of this fucking thing that's been fucking with us. Ronnie immediately just goes, okay, let's do that thing. And and they just become friends again. What the fuck is this? What is this nonsense that I'm fucking watching? I don't understand this. Why did they write it like this? It's dog shit, man. It's fucking dog shit. And people are they're watching this show, like saying, this is the best shit I've ever seen. This is so fucking awesome. You know, it's not. It's not at fucking all. This show has some horrendous writing fucking things in it, and people are just eating it up. All right. We talked about the lipstick. Let's talk about Francis and Rose from episode 3. Right. So episode 3 opens with a title card that says 1908, and we see a kid named Francis. Francis he's at a carnival, and he goes into the freak show. Right. Now, mind you, this freak show is kind of fucking lame to a point. Right. The first thing Francis sees when he walks into the freak show is a funhouse mirror. Wow, crazy. Then he sees a guy smoking a cigarette playing a piano. Oh, okay. Then he sees a hairy-faced woman. Then he sees a random guy in a cage. And then finally we see the cool shit, like the conjoined twins, which look fucking gnarly. And then he goes and sees the one-eyed man in the back, which is obviously, you know, it. So after he sees the one-eyed man, he runs out scared to death. He runs directly into his father. His father says, no, well, there, I found you. Thank God. He looks up and sees where his son just ran from and tells his son to stop being a fucking pussy. Stop being a pussy, son. And by the way, I won you this slingshot. Such a wild fucking statement. So we see Francis and his dad leave the carnival after he got a slingshot. The car, later down the road, the car overheats. The dad gives him, what I'm guessing is a couple pennies to go buy some water that Rose, the native girl, is selling on the side of the road. Conveniently, they broke down right next to her. Thank God. And he asks for a bottle of water. He gives her the 3 cents, I'm guessing, because it's less than 5 cents. Rose says, hey, it's 5 cents. And Francis says, well, this is all I got. She then looks over and goes, hey, what's good with that slingshot? And so he trades the slingshot for the water. And this slingshot is why they become friends. So after he gets the water and, you know, him and his dad go on their way, you see Rose and Francis running around, playing, having fun, being kids, until one day Francis runs into the woods and Rose is screaming, don't go in there, please. Don't go the fuck in there. Please come out of there. He doesn't listen to her. So he runs in there. And then that's where he's confronted with it again as the one-eyed man. And the one-eyed man chases him around. He could have caught him twice, but didn't because Pennywise is once again plot convenient. And he chases him down to a point where Rose can enter and save him with the slingshot. After Rose saves him with the slingshot, Francis and Rose leave the woods. And Rose tells Francis to stop running now because, look, they're fine. Rose says, it can't leave the woods. And Francis asks, what the fuck was that? And Rose says, I don't know. And she starts to walk off. And Francis says, hey, whoa, stop. Like, please tell me what that was. And Rose asks if he can keep a secret. Now, then from there, it just cuts. We don't see what she says to him. But what's important here in this scene is Rose telling Francis that it can't leave the woods. Now, remember, this is 1908. All right? In 1908, there was an explosion at the iron mill where it killed 88 children. We learned this in the 2017 It remake, which this TV show is obviously tied to. So if it can't leave the woods, how did he cause this explosion? Because it is the reason for the explosion. And the same thing with 1935, that shootout, it is responsible for the shootout. But if it can't leave the woods, how did he leave the woods to cause the 1908 explosion and the 1935 shootout? Okay, because we also learn from the 2019 film, which is part 2 to the 2017 part 1, because Mike goes on and he learns from the Native Americans about it and where it came from. And they tell him that all living beings must abide by the shape they reside in. So when Pennywise takes a form or a shape, he has to abide by the laws of that shape. So if Rose says it can't leave the woods, well, I take that at face value that it can't leave the woods, but yet it causes the 1908 explosion and the 1935 shootout. I think you have some lapse in writing there, right? Now, if Rose isn't being literal, why isn't she saying this? Now, you could argue there's 4 episodes left and maybe she'll say this later, but at the end of episode 4, they make it explicit of why it can't leave the woods. So what is the purpose of having Rose tell us, the audience, and Francis, it can't leave the woods, but it's also able to leave the woods to cause this and this and this to happen? It makes no fucking sense. It's so... Why even... Why write this? It's obviously not true, because the one-eyed man that was in the woods with Francis was at the fucking carnival, which was not in the woods. I don't know what the fuck purpose this sentence has. I mean, besides setting up how episode 4 ends, but I mean, why write it for her to say that it can't leave the woods when he obviously fucking can? To me, it's just another fucking dog shit writing point, for me at least. And this show is full of dog shit writing. So yay me. All right. Later on in this episode, we see the military. They find the car from the 1935 shootout. They say, well, they found it, I think last episode, they say that they took this caddy down to its bolts. If there was anything hidden in it, they would have found it. There's nothing in this car but bullet holes and blood. Okay, cool. Nothing crazy there. Francis, who is now the older gentleman in the military, says, of course, there's nothing there. The things that we're looking for were buried 300 years before cars were invented. Now, I saw some people saying online that they thought he was talking about it, and that's not what he's talking about. You find out what he's talking about next episode. But this is where Francis, as the old man, says something really fucking odd to me. Again, I don't know why they write shit like this. Halloran, he is the older black gentleman who is friends with Leroy Hanlon. He has psychic abilities. They're using Halloran and his abilities to try to pinpoint where, as they call it, the weapon is. Right? So Francis, as the older man, says, we're running out of time. We need to get Halloran out in the field. He can only do so much stuck on base, pointing at maps. This was the best method, they thought, huh? Yeah, this was having a psychics who can pick up on environmental readings. They thought the best method would be to have this psychic be stuck on a base, using his abilities and pointing at a fucking map. Old man Francis finally says, hey, we need to get him out in the field, and maybe above it, we'll fly him in a helicopter because we have an item that this creature has interacted with. And of course, later when you see Halloran in the helicopter, the item is the slingshot from when he was a boy. And Halloran touches it, and then he gets sucked into the psychic vision where he is in the sewer with Pennywise. Pennywise, the dancing clown carnival circus thing, opens, and you just see his eyes, and he asked, who are you? Halloran then looks up and sees everyone who's floating, including his grandmother, and he tries to escape the sewer, which is him actually in real life trying to jump out the back of the helicopter, but Hanlon saves him before he kills himself, basically. Like, most of that is fine with me, right? If they're telling me this guy has psychic abilities, okay, fine. You know, this is a horror movie, this is supernatural type shit. Okay, fine. He has psychic abilities, cool. But why did it take till fucking now to say, hey, maybe we should take the psychic out of the fucking base and into the field? And the only reason I can come up with why they haven't thought of this until now is plot reasons. Yeah, like, it couldn't happen earlier because we wouldn't have seen it because the show didn't start yet. And that obviously is the fucking case. And again, to me, that's dog shit writing. I'm sorry. I know a lot of people are going to hear these criticisms and say I'm nitpicking, but I'm really not. Like, these are major things that are anchoring these episodes that with one little tug, the knot comes undone. And it makes no sense. If you have somebody in the military who has psychic ability, why the fuck would you keep him inside of a base? Get him out in the field. That'd be the first thing I said. Like, if I was in charge of this Operation Precept, and someone came to me and said, sir, what do you think the best method would be to use the psychic's abilities? I would say, well, it wouldn't be at a base. We need to get him out in the field. We need him to interact with the environment. We need him to interact with items. We need him to interact with people that have interacted with this, whatever we're looking for. Like, this is what we need. Because the closer we can get him to it, pun intended, the closer we will find it. Or the faster we will find it. And yet it takes until plot convenience for them to think of it. And the note I took was, these are the best minds for this operation. Yeah, this is all you got. This was the method they had. Keeping him on base, pointing at fucking maps. They never thought before now to get him out in the field. This is all my notes I wrote while watching the episode. It's just god awful, man. Again, it's just more dog shit writing with plot conveniences so they could advance the plot when they need it to be advanced. They're trying to do this ticking clock thing, like, what, you know, because old man Francis says, like, we're running out of time. We needed to get this done now. Like, you know, he's already starting his, well, he doesn't say he's already starting his second cycle, but he knows, like, the military people know that it has cycles. Because when they're talking about the caddy, not old man Francis, another military guy says it's from his 1935 cycle. They know it has cycles. So they know there is a time limit here. But because the show didn't start yet, Obviously, they couldn't have him go out into the field before that because we wouldn't have seen it. And they've only waited till episode 3, which I would imagine would be like at least a couple days, maybe a week into the show. And now they thought of getting the psychic out of the fucking base and on into the field. Like, plot convenience for plot convenience for plot. It's just dog shit, man. And people need to stop accepting dog shit. This is my other issue. Stop accepting dog shit writing. You deserve better. You really fucking do. And if you're gonna come to me and say it's a horror show, it's a horror movie, it means that what the fuck does that even mean? It's like when people say, "Oh, it's a kids movie." Okay, kids deserve better than what the fuck slop they're getting. Like, why is that? Why is it that it's okay to accept dog shit writing and say, "Well, it's a horror show or it's a kids movie," right? But it's not okay the other way. I can't tell them, "Hey, stop glazing it. It's a kids movie. Hey, stop glazing it. It's a horror movie." But they can tell me to stop, being, critiquing. They can tell me to stop being analytical with it, and because it's quote negative. And I guess what I'm doing is negative, but I'm trying. It's because I want quality shit. I don't want nonsense. Fuck. So many people just accept nonsense, and it fucking blows me away. All right. The kids gather together, right? So it's Lily, Ronnie, Will, and the new kid, Rich, and they are coming up with a plan to capture photos of it, whatever it is, right? So this part of the show was wild to me because the writers actually use a conspiracy theory in their writing. And if you don't know what I mean, I'll obviously explain it to you. So, or is that? Oh, sorry, that's next episode. Never mind. Sorry. Cut that. Delete that from your brains. Whoop. Not yet. That comes next. So they're trying to come together with a plan to take a picture of it. Ronnie's talking about how, it appears to you as like dead relatives, but it's not really them. And then Rich says something in Spanish. And they say, what? And he says, evil spirits, So then he starts to talk about his uncle who does Santeria. It's a sexy word, Santeria. Right? And they ask him after he explains it, hey, did he teach you this? So he tells him, yeah, basically. And so later on, they go to the graveyard cemetery, right? They got their candles. They put them all in the circle. They get ready, and he just starts saying shit in Spanish. And Will even points out, you're just repeating yourself. And then after a few more Spanish words, he goes, all right, that's it. Now we just got to wait. And then a couple minutes goes by. He goes, I got to piss. And Lily says, wait, you said we can't leave the circle. And this is where they catch him in his lie because he talks about his cousin who said this. And they said, I thought you said your uncle taught you. And he's like, and that's where the lie unravels. The girls find out it was a lie from the beginning. They get mad, get up and storm off, jump on their bikes and ride off into the cemetery. Well, luckily for them, that Pennywise, once again, plot convenient, waited until they stormed off to start going after them. Right? I thought it could have actually been funny if Pennywise would have started to attack them as he's like doing this obviously fake ritual, to for a second have him believe that, oh shit, this shit's real. But he waits until it's over and the girls run off. And that's when they start to attack him. Now, to my problem with this scene is it's not really like a knock on the show. Like if I was doing like points, I wouldn't take points off the show for this next thing. But when the ground starts breaking up and those ghosts start coming at them, I got the like vibe of like Jack Black Goosebumps movie. Like it was like overly cartoony. It was like 2016 Ghostbusters type shit. Like it was fucking cartoony. It was not scary at all. It was fucking laughable. Like I said, Jack Black Goosebumps is what I was getting the vibes of. So during this whole charade, the ground's breaking up beneath them. Ghosts are flying at them. Lily tries to take a picture. The camera gets stuck on a branch. Rich tries to grab it. He goes tumbling. Will finally gets it. Snaps off a couple pictures at the end. Now after they escape the cemetery with the camera, they break into their school. Basically, they go into the film development room. And because Will is really good at science, he knows all the right chemicals and the right order to put them in to develop film. Thank God. And they start to see the ghosts in their photos. And the last one they see is an outline of a clear clown figure. And that's where episode 3 ends. So, I mean, like I said, large portions of episode 3 were dog shit. But nothing compares to episode 4. This is the worst episode yet. Easily, hands fucking down, the worst episode yet. All right, let's move on. Get my episode 4 notes up here. Because this episode was fucking retarded. All right. Here we go. All right. Episode 4. I just told you that the kids developed the photos they took from at the end of episode 3. They saw the ghost in the pictures, and they saw the clown in the pictures. They take these photos to the police. Because again, the reason why they're taking these photos is to prove Ronnie's dad is innocent. Why? How the fuck would photos of anything prove that Ronnie's dad is innocent? Look, I'm not saying that arresting somebody just because he's a black guy is right. But what I'm saying is it makes logical sense in the show because they have written in racial tensions. Even if you caught a picture of Pennywise himself as the clown eating a child, it wouldn't prove that Ronnie's dad is innocent. It just wouldn't. So again, the writers, they're giving you this filler and this fluff, and it goes fucking nowhere immediately, all the time. All the time. And oftentimes, it's the wrong way to write it. Right? The photos are not going to prove her dad is innocent. The only thing that's going to prove her dad innocent would be photos or film from inside the movie theater that night that the kids were attacked and only Lily and Ronnie survived. Somehow, plot conveniently for Pennywise. But obviously you can't do that. You're not going to time travel. At least not fucking yet. I mean, you got a psychic ability guy, and you got Hanlon, who apparently damaged his brain, and he can't process fear. He doesn't feel fear. We'll get to him later in this episode because I say bullshit. He does. So the kids take the photos to the cops and basically say, hey, here's your fucking proof, right? The cops, well, first of all, they question it, like, get the fuck out of here. Like, what are we talking about here? Like, this is stupid. They give the cops the photos. The cops take the photos out of the envelope, and they start looking through it, and they right away sarcastically are just like, oh my God, guys, look at this. Holy shit, what is this? And they turn the one photo over, and it's a headstone, and he... Chief Bauer says, is this pigeon shit? And then he starts to throw the pictures on the desk. All right, pigeon shit. Dead flowers. Nice. Oh, look, Aunt Mary's headstone. Because the adults can't see what the kids do. This is already established in its lore, from the book and from the 2017 remake when Bev's dad can't see the blood in the bathroom. So the adults can't see the ghost images from the fucking photos that the kids saw. But the last photo, the clown image is still there. And they point that out to the cop. And the cop says, it's a statue. And Lily says, no, it's a fucking clown. Now, how does a fucking clown in the cemetery prove Ronnie's dad's innocence? It fucking doesn't. This whole side quest of them getting pictures to prove Ronnie's dad is innocent is fucking dog shit. Because it doesn't, it would never prove he's innocent ever. Ever. You would need photos and film, like I said, from inside the theater that night. Other than that, nothing's going to, you can even, like I said, you can have photos of Pennywise eating a child. It would not prove anything for Ronnie's dad. So I don't know why the writers sent these kids on this side mission to get these fucking photos. Because like I said, nothing that they would ever capture on film would ever prove that Ronnie's dad is innocent. I don't know why the fuck this is dog shit from the get-go, and it ended like dog shit. So, but here's what's interesting to me. If the adults can't see the things the kids can that it has done, how does the adults see the clown shape in the last photo? And if the adults can see the clown shape, would that mean that the clown is a physical form and not like a manipulation or psychic projection from it? And if the clown shape is a physical form and it is it standing there, which I would imagine it would be, this once again goes against what Rose said when Rose said that it can't leave the woods in 1908. Even though in 1908 it caused the Iron Mills explosion, and in 1935 it caused the fucking shootout. But I just like bringing up points that, you know, obviously the writers never thought about because, or at least have questions to ask because they're dog shit writers. All right. So the cops don't believe the fucking kids with their photos. Obviously fucking not. Why would that ever matter? I don't know. All right. Will and his dad, they go fishing. Right? He's trying to bond with his son. It's a wholesome moment, right? The dad starts talking, hey, tell me about this girlfriend of yours, right? Just teasing him. Will says she's not my girlfriend yet. And he says, some are still young, right? Just dumb dad boy talk, right? Will catches a fish. Well, he gets one on the line. And his dad tries to reel it in for him. And then eventually the fish fights back and breaks off. So Leroy says, hey, I got more bait in the car. Hold my line, I'll be right back. So, you know, he goes off to get more bait. Will's standing there in this little river with 2 rods. Will then sees a beautiful, huge fish swim up to him, which he leans down to get a better look at. And then the fish just disappears into the fucking earth. And all of a sudden, a vision of his dad, but his dad is all burnt up in this vision, pulls him into the river and he starts to drown. Leroy starts to hear a commotion and runs back to Will. He's such in a panic. You would say that Leroy is fearful of what's happening, that he drops his bait box. And he gets to Will in time to pull him out of the water. And he asks Will, basically, what the fuck happened? And Will says, well, it was you. I saw you, but you were all burnt up like you were in a plane crash and you were pulling me into the water and you're trying to drown me. And basically, Leroy's like, that's fucking crazy. When Will says it's fucking true. That's when, Leroy notices the blood and scratches on Will's arms, right? Now, Leroy Hanlon is written as a character in this show that in Korea, he damaged his brain. He cannot process fear, is what we're told. He doesn't feel fear. We're actually told this in the scene with Hanlon and Halloran, when Hanlon asked him not to get into his head psychically, because Halloran was in the room when he was attacked late one night. I believe it was episode 2. And Halloran tells him, hey, when I was in your head, when you're being attacked, most people think about their families, but you were analytical. You were like, you felt no fear. So we are repeatedly told that this dude feels no fear. Yet when he sees his son with the blood on his son's arms, he's fearful. You can see it in his eyes. You can see it in the way the actor acts it. He's in fear. He has fear. He had fear when he heard a commotion with his son because he left in a panic, dropped his bait box on the ground. Now, some people will say, well, yeah, it's his son. Of course he's going to be fear, but he damaged his brain. It's not that he's a cool guy under pressure. His brain is damaged where he literally just can't process it. But yet every time fear comes around, he responds to it, looking like he's scared. Why would they write a character like this and then direct him to act in a fearful way? It makes no fucking sense. It just makes no fucking sense. And I just think it's funny that they did this whole thing where they wrote this whole character to have his fucking that brain damage where he can't feel fear, and yet he still feels fear. Now, at the end, when he notices the blood and scratches on Will's arms, Will starts to look out, behind him into the distance, and Leroy turns around himself. And they both lock eyes with this red balloon that's floating across the river. And again, he looks fearful. I'm just going to keep nitpicking that because I thought it could have been cool if they did it, but they don't stick to it. So what the fuck does it matter? If they don't care enough to fucking stick to it, then I gotta at least be able to fucking call it out. When they wrote a character who they said has brain damage so he can't process fear, and then every chance they get for him to be fearful, he is fearful. He is fearful. You can see it in his fucking eyes. You can see it in his mannerisms. You can see how he acts the scene. He is fearful. Why do this? Because they're dog shit. That's why. All right. Later on in the episode, this is where the writers use conspiracy theory, by the way. Will and the rest of the kids are talking about why it hasn't killed them yet. And Will starts to say, well, maybe it doesn't want to kill us yet. Maybe it is just fucking with us. And then Will jumps up and goes, oh, man, I hate when I'm right. And then starts to just dump all this information that we need about how it does it, how it loves fear. And he wants to scare us because we'll taste better, right? So the kids are like, what are you talking about? And so Will says, most mammals, when they get scared, their adrenal glands release a chemical that can, to which some predators find it more tasty. It tastes better with this adrenal gland that produces this. Now, I said this is a conspiracy theory because it is. You can look online yourself. You can Google it. There are people out there in the world who believe that the almighty elite, right, the billionaires out there and things like that, they traffic children. Again, this is all alleged. This is what people actually believe out there in the real world. It's all conspiracy theory. It's all nonsense. But they believe that these elite get these children, scare them to almost death, to eat them because they taste better when they're scared. That's an actual conspiracy theory people believe in the world. And here is this show on HBO Max using a popular conspiracy theory talking point of adrenochrome. Literally, Will says that mammals their adrenal glands produce the secretion that can make the meat taste better, and some predators like that taste. he's talking about adrenochrome, and it's in the It show, and I don't know why it's there, because that was not the lore of Stephen King. From what I understood, it was more of a psychic taste that Pennywise loved off of fear. Fear was the main ingredient, but it wasn't an actual like it didn't quench his thirst. It didn't, it wasn't like an actual taste. It was like more of a psychic feeding that he got, because once he got his fill, he could then go retreat and then wait another 27 years. But here they are physically saying that he wants to scare us to almost death because we taste better to him when we're scared because of our adrenal glands, which is fucking wild to do. Holy shit. I cannot believe they actually put that in a show. Because again, like I said, it is not it's not a part of the lore. So yeah. So after Will tells the kids that, it's all about fear and he wants us scared because we taste better when we're scared, we cut to school where Lily is handing out little white pills to her friends. And she says, hey, my mom takes these when she's all stressed out. She calls them mommy's little helpers. Lily is handing Xanax out to her friends. In 1962, Lily just stole Xanax from her mom. And now Lily is giving her friends Xanax so they can take it, put it under their tongue when Pennywise starts to do his shit, and they won't be afraid. And he'll leave them alone. Now, let's just say this works at all. For anything, let's say it works at all. They each got one pill each. So, okay, so it works once, and then after that, then what? Again, more fluff, more filler from these fucking writers who just, it seems like every episode got a pad shit because for some reason they can't write full 8 episodes. Again, I'm not asking for 28. 8. Just 8. And they can't fill 8 episodes with full story, full character arcs, full character development, or even just static, like nothing. They can't do nothing. They just gotta, every episode has to have filler and fluff, and it means nothing, and it always goes nowhere, and most of the time it gets resolved inside the same episode. It's like watching like a cartoon. Like Scooby-Doo back in the day. When you knew, no matter what happened, everything was going to be good and the gang would figure it out by the end. That's basically what we're watching, but it's in the universe of it. So yeah, Lily starts to give out Xanax to all her friends. She says that her mom calls it mommy's little helper, which is funny. But again, even if it works, they only got one pill. And speaking of them only getting one pill, there's a scene where Lily and her friend, the one with the glasses, I forget her name. They're in the bathroom because Lily's friend is actually going to set her up to get heartbroken because working with the cunts of the school, the patty cakes or whatever, they're going to have the hotshot jock hit on her. And then when she goes over there to say, hey, what's up? He's going to break her heart in front of everybody. So Lily's friend starts to get cold feet and starts to try to tell her, hey, I got something to tell you. And then once she does, this is when Pennywise starts fucking with her friend, making her eyes into the snout eyes from the snout eyes they saw in class a little bit earlier, which is funny because in episode 1, Lily's friend here says that she doesn't like her new glasses and she doesn't want to spend a year looking bug-eyed. So, that's something at least. Hey, they at least waited 4 episodes to finish that arc, so good for them. Lily hears a commotion because her friend is screaming, my fucking eyes, basically. And she looks out, sees what's going on. She's like, all right, don't do anything really. Hold on. She tries to go for her Xanax and she drops the pill in the toilet. The toilet she was just sitting on because she had to piss. She then reaches her hand in the toilet to grab the pill. Now, I'm not asking this question to be gross or, you know, inappropriate, but did she pee? Because then she is reaching her hand through her own piss to grab a pill, to put a pill in her mouth that was just in her own piss. I just hope she didn't, because otherwise. But also, she said that her mom sticks these pills under her tongue, and they dissolve. And Lily just dropped hers in either her own piss or toilet water, and yet she grabbed it out. And if it starts to dissolve under your tongue, it's already starting to dissolve in the water. So once she takes it out, it's going to be, you know what I mean? Like, it's fucked either way. Why'd you even do this? It makes no fucking sense. So Lily's friend goes running down the hallway, screaming about her fucking snail eyes. I'm on the couch dying laughing. I think it's the dumbest shit I've ever seen. She runs into, like, I guess, like wood shop class. And her idea is, I'm going to cut my fucking eyes off. Why? I would imagine it hurts, but like, why is that your first thought? Fuck, my eyes, they're elongating. They hurt. Let me cut them the fuck off. Okay, so she does. She puts her head on the table. There's a table saw there. She hits the pedal for it to start working, and she starts cutting her fucking eyes off. Lily comes over and takes her off the table. Her friend starts to fucking try to go at herself with some kind of instrument. Lily grabs it off of her, and when people rush in, they basically see Lily on top of her friend with this thing that she just took, and she's all bloody, and her friend's all bloody, and one eye has been cut off. So obviously, everyone thinks Lily just tried to fucking murder her friend. Which is another, like, this whole trope of everyone thinking that Lily's crazy is just going to be a way for the writers to, like, move this, like, you know, it's going to be all going to be dog shit, but they can use her craziness to take her in and out of the story, to progress or to halt a story if they don't want it to go too fast or too slow, and it's all going to be for dog shit reasons like this. This is the best they can come up with. Snail eyes to where her friend wants to cut her off her own eyes, to where she gets blamed for trying to murder her. I mean, it's not like the worst that I've ever seen, but I mean, what the fuck is this nonsense, man? Like, what is this nonsense? All right, next point. Leroy Hanlon goes in to see the old man Francis, and he wants to know, what the fuck are we hunting? Because now it's starting to come after my kid. And it just so happens that at the exact moment that Hanlon comes in to ask what the fuck they're hunting, because it's coming after his kid now, well, Psychic Man over here is about to tap into someone's mind. And tapping into someone's mind is going to tell us exactly where those things they need are buried. Convenient. Wow, more plot convenience from shit writers. So he asks what we're hunting. He takes him into a room, and you see an obvious native man. I think his name is Taniel. Not Daniel, Taniel. And Halloran comes in, he sits down and says, hey, just please tell them what they need to know, because what I'm about to do is going to suck for both of us. Taniel spits on him, so he goes, all right. So then Halloran puts his fingers to his forehead, because that's what you do when you have psychic abilities. Otherwise, they won't work. And they start to have what I can only describe to you as like a Star Wars Force battle. All they're doing is sitting in the same room at a table across from each other, making faces like they're constipated, because he's trying to enter his mind, and Taniel's trying to keep him out. And they're just grunting and shifting the chairs at each other. But eventually, Halloran gets the best of him because he takes his fingers off his head and puts it in front of his face like a mask. And now Taniel's fucked because the psychic man is in his head now. And he sees a memory where Taniel goes over the entire story of where it came from, where that it crashed. And this is where my other thing I had that doesn't line up. In the 2019 film for It Part 2, Mike Hanlon goes on an adventure. He takes some crazy drugs with some natives, and he learns the story of where it came from. Now, most of it lines up, right? He crashed on Earth millions of years ago. He crashed landed in this one spot. It got released on impact, whatever. However, in the movie, Mike is given this leather-bound thing that the natives originally trapped it inside of. And he has it now, and that's what they're going to use to trap him. In the show here, Welcome to Derry, the natives trap him by going into the crash site, breaking off pieces of whatever the fuck he crash landed in. They carve their Native American runes into, or symbols into, and then they bury 13 of these daggers they made with the runes into the ground, and that's what traps it inside the woods. So here you have a movie and a show that's inside the same universe. It's the same it. Hell, when Halloran has that psychic vision where he's inside the sewer, it's the same sewer from the 2017 film and all that shit. They're the same thing. But yet the 2019 film and the show have two different ways of how the natives trapped it. Makes no fucking sense. Was it that hard for you to go watch the movies that came out before your show? You would think it would at least be like the line of what you had to do. I mean, you didn't have to read the book, but you at least had to watch the movies that your show will exist in that universe, and you didn't. You got it close enough, changed a little bit of it, and said, "Nah, fuck it." But now we have. So now what the natives told Mike in the 2019 Part 2 movie is now, because of the show, incorrect. Or the natives lied to each other. And Halloran is seeing a lie inside of Taniel's head. It's one or the other. And I'm going to go with the first part, which is the 2019 film is no longer how the natives trapped them. And the show is now it's the most recent thing, so that's the most recent canon. And I guess people, who are inside this fandom are going to have to fucking argue forever and ever and ever, amen, about how the natives actually trapped it. And I just think it's more just dog shit writing from dog shit writers who can't be bothered to watch two fucking movies before they wrote their show. They don't care about what came before it. They just want to write their own thing. They do like good jobs of like setting people up in the show that will be related to the people from, the 1989 cycle. They have some nice Easter eggs in here. Like, like the chief of police last name is Bauer. So he's obviously related to Henry Bowers from, the 89 cycle. And they have little things like that connect these little dots, but that's below bare minimum. You are now retconning your own universe. And you couldn't be bothered to watch the movies and see how they did. So you could at least have the same native story that Mike was told in the 2019 film to what you're telling us now in the 2025 TV show. They couldn't be fucking bothered. And that's where the episode 4 ends. So now episode 5, we will actually see Pennywise for the first time. Halfway through a season that is called It, Welcome to Derry. So, I mean, so far, since it's the, mid-season, I guess I'll give a little mid-season review here. I think the show, when it does the, as I say, it thing, meaning like Ronnie Ronnie's Pennywise using Ronnie's mom to give birth to Ronnie again in her bedroom and tell Ronnie that she killed her mom, that she tore her up, and all like that shit is great when they do it. When they stick to that shit, it's fucking awesome. They do a great job with it. No complaints. It's just everything fucking else. It's all the racial tensions that they're writing into the show, which is fine, right? 1962, there were racial tensions were higher back then. But at least if you're going to do that, use it to your fucking advantage. Again, like I said, in episode 2, they wrote that whole little fight between Ronnie and Lily because Ronnie was mad at Lily that she didn't tell the police that she saw a fucking monster when Lily was telling the police her dad wasn't there, which is the most important thing. When the writers, all they had to do was have the police arrest Ronnie's dad just simply because he's black. That it works because of the racial tensions it's written into the show. The writers here overcomplicate things and make it stupid or worse, or they do below bare minimum. Like, I'm just looking for average, and I can't even get that. And it really just fucking, it blows me away about how bad these writers are. So I will continue to review these episodes. I might start actually reviewing them as they come out. So this Sunday, after it's done airing, I would probably go live and, give my thoughts with my notes and all that kind of shit. So you can kind of see how my brain works, as I'm watching the episode. But that's about it. I'm just a nice little, hour and 40-minute stream going over all 4 episodes. Well, the things that I thought were the worst parts of those episodes. And yeah, if I'm not back before Sunday, I'll see you Sunday for it. Welcome to Derry, episode 5.